Hi everyone, so today was a big day for Avatar: The Last Airbender fandom. It was recently announced that Netflix is going to make a live-action remake of Avatar: The Last Airbender, i.e. my favorite show of all time. And if you haven't seen it, please stop what you are doing and please watch it. You will not regret it. It is literally, like, when I say it's the best show of all time, it is the best. The writing, the characters, the art, the storytelling, it's beyond what we can strive for. Anyway, that was a lot. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. While I'm super excited, I am a tad scared because you know what happened the last time we had a live-action remake? Yeah, we don't talk about that. What is really cool about this project is that the creators of Avatar, Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko? Yeah, Brian Konietzko. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, they're going to be heavily involved in this project. And the producers and the creative team have pledged to make sure that this interpretation is not whitewashed and that is a faithful and respectful adaptation of the source material. In the article where they announced this, they used the word retelling to describe this, and I don't know if that was just an error on the writer's part or if they're actually going to take some creative liberty in the story, which is a little scary because I love the story the way it is. I really hope that they delve into some of the comics. I actually haven't read the comics, mostly because my local library didn't have them, but I heard they're fantastic and I really want to read them soon. I have actually read a snippet of The Search as I was in Barnes & Noble, casually walking around, not really intending to buy anything. So in that respect, I don't think it's gonna be 100% like one-to-one between the animated show and the live-action show. Frankly, that would be boring, to be honest. So I don't really mind if they do take some liberties as long as they don't change the main arc and the main themes and characters. I mean, they could surprise me. The creators involved they created Avatar. I think they can create something great as well. Anyway, so in honor of this news and the fact that I love Avatar, I'm going to be doing the Avatar: The Last Airbender book tag. This tag was created by Hannah from A Clockbook Reader, who is fantastic. You should all watch her. You probably all do watch her, but she is great. She's kind of like the lead voice on the Avatar fandom on BookTube, so it was only right for her to create this tag. This tag is broken up into 4 sections: water, earth, fire, and air, with questions. Actually, I don't need to explain it. You'll get the idea. Now, first is the Water Tribe. Water Tribe. I don't do that right, but okay. And question number 1 is, Katara and Sokka, your favorite sibling relationship? Recently, I read a book called Echo by Pam Munoz Ryan, which was fantastic. And in it, there is a sibling relationship between 2 characters named Mike and Frankie. The whole book essentially revolves around this magical harmonica that gets passed down to different people in different times of life, kind of centering around World War II era. You could think of the book as if it's like 4 separate novellas that are all connected by this magical harmonica until the very end, where they all come together, and it's beautiful and I highly recommend it. The 3rd story in this novel is between 2 boys living in Pennsylvania during the Great Depression named Mike and Frankie. Mike is 11 and Frankie is 7. Their whole part of the book was my favorite part. It's probably because that story employs the found family trope to a great extent, and found family it gets me. Every time those 2 interacted, I wanted to cry. The novel is middle grade, so it really captures these instances of children in these really bad situations. So like the other stories has to do with Nazi Germany, and one has to do with Japanese internment, and this one has to do with the Great Depression. Mike and Frankie are also orphans, and Mike kind of has to take almost a parental role. And the book captures how much Mike loves Frankie and wants to take care of him and wants the best for him so well, and it's so emotional, as well as how much they need each other. And they deal with so many external factors that try to separate them, mostly because it's easier for younger kids to get adopted. And so there's this conflict of whether they should stay together and one of them loses their chance with the family, or they separate. And again, I just keep repeating, it's such an emotional ride, and I just love the love that they have for each other. It's so beautiful. Question number 2 is Yue, favorite star-crossed lovers? Star-crossed lover is a very well-known term, and I feel like it's used a lot. But when I was thinking about this, I really couldn't think of any books with star-crossed lovers. Or maybe I have, I just wouldn't consider them favorites. But I ended up picking Cinder and Kai from the Lunar Chronicles. They are literally star-crossed because they're in space and Earth and the moon. But yeah, out of all the romances in the Lunar Chronicles, Cinder and Kai was the most slow burn. Everything, the world was just set against them. Like, I'm talking Earth and the moon were set against him. And so it was so freaking satisfying when they finally got together. Oh yeah, so Lunar Chronicles is basically sci-fi retelling of fairy tales. So the first one is Cinder, Cinderella, next one is Scarlet, Little Red Riding Hood, third one is Cress, or Rapunzel, and the fourth one is Winter, or Snow White. They are amazing and they're so much fun and they're so action-packed and I love it. You should read it. Go read it now. Question number 3 is blending. Question number 3 is Bloodbending, a book with a disturbing or unsettling concept. And for this, I chose Unwind by Neil Shusterman. Neil Shusterman he really likes exploring those, like, what if this happened to our world? And, like, not the normal, like, what if the government took over? Like, no, he's like, what if abortion was illegal? What if you could choose to have your child, all their organs donated when they reach a certain age? And that is the concept of Unwind, which is so freaking disturbing, especially because there are some very explicit scenes with this process of unwinding. And while Neil Shusterman likes to explore these really unsettling concepts, it does make his books very compelling, and I love them for that. He's really not afraid to delve into these kind of complex ideas that are not so outlandish. Now we're heading to the Earth Kingdom. Question number 4 is Toph, a character whose strength surprised you. For this, I chose Elend from the Mistborn series. Elend has one of the most drastic character growth throughout the entire series out of all the characters. Pretty much because he starts out as this super idealist planner who loves political theory and wants to impose his ideas, and then once he gets the opportunity to do so, he panics. Not necessarily panics, but he works with ideas, not necessarily actions. And so it took a lot of development and work for him to get to a point where he can take executive action and make hard decisions. And in the 3rd book, in one of the first scenes, he makes this really strong and objective position and doesn't let his personal emotions affect him, and it surprises everyone, including me, because Elend is still that idealistic kid from book 1, and so it's so strange but also kind of cool to see how much he's grown and how much strength he has to make those decisions as a leader. Question number 5 is Tales of Ba Sing Se, favorite short story or poetry collection. I can't say I've read a poetry collection, and I don't think I've read many novella bind-ups. One thing that comes to mind is The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas, but I read that a long time ago, and while I do remember I really enjoyed it when I read it, I don't really have enough to talk about it. Similar, also the Through the Dark novella collection by Alexandra Bracken is like the bind-up of the short stories from the Darkest Minds series, and I've only read 2 of them, so I guess I can't really include that. But those 2 short stories, I distinctly remember being blown away, and so I really want to check out the last one, which is in that bind-up, so I have to go buy the bind-up. Question number 6 is the Kyoshi Warriors, best warrior character. As I was thinking of the answer to this question, I realized there's a lot of warriors in YA, but you know, I gotta go with my boy Percy Jackson. The fight scenes described in Percy Jackson are so freaking epic, especially because Percy can basically just like manifest a hurricane and like control bodies of water. He's just awesome. Also, all the sword fighting scenes were so intense, and he's so good. And he's also a warrior in the sense that he's extremely loyal to his comrades, and that almost entirely his motivation for fighting is to help others. He's just so selfless. And I think that adds credence to his warrior status, because it's not just like he's a mindless fighter. He has a motive, he has a purpose, and he also has the kick-ass skills to complement that. Now the Fire Nation. Question number 7 is Zuko. Best redemption arc, or a redemption arc that you think should have happened? I have the same answer as Hannah for this one, and it's Draco Malfoy. I think there was just so much unexplored potential with his character, because he was a child of his society. His character was born out of circumstance, it was not intrinsic. There were hints of his slight redemption in Deathly Hallows, but I think it would have been so good to see him truly reject the entire life that he has been brought up in and all the attitudes that he's been accustomed to thinking and ingrained into his mind. Like, there's that scene in Half-Blood Prince, I don't remember if it was in the book, but it was in the movie, where Harry sees him breaking down in the bathroom and you can just see the pain in his eyes in the mirror. And it was already established how much that being a Death Eater and being in this organization was killing him from the inside, and it would have been really powerful to see him break apart from that and make that conscious choice to change. Question number 8 is Iroh, wisest character. I try not to double up on books here, but I had to go with Sazed from Mistborn. Sazed was one of my favorite characters from Mistborn because of his wisdom. I loved the relationship he formed with Vin, being a sort of guide to her and giving her advice about life and of course her duties as a Mistborn. And just even those small moments when he was giving her relationship advice, like, it was so sweet. But the best part is that he's never complacent. It did take him a lot to finally acknowledge that he had to change, that what he has thought the world to be is not what it is. But he's a scholar, so he would research and he dove himself into education and research, and he just really strives to get an understanding of the world. And I think that's really admirable. Question number 9 is Azula, best downfall. I decided to go in a different route, and I chose Apollo from The Trials of Apollo by Rick Riordan. Technically, the whole story is a redemption arc because he has to redeem himself in the eyes of Zeus in order to be taken back into Olympus. But his downfall is basically what literally starts the plot. Zeus has kicked him out of Olympus and made him immortal. And him trying to come to terms with this downfall is very amusing. I don't think I really did the question right here, but we're just gonna go with it. Now last, we're heading to the Air Temple. And question number 10 is Appa, best fictional pet. Again, I really can't think of any fictional pets that exist. So I'm sorry, I have to double again, and I'm picking Blackjack from Percy Jackson. Blackjack is freaking hilarious. His exchanges with Percy are some of the best lines in the whole series. And him and Percy just have a good time together, you know? Question number 11 is Aang, the purest cinnamon roll. I thought that Aang was the purest cinnamon roll. And then I reread Never Fade by Alexandra Bracken. And I realized I had been sleeping on the purest cinnamon roll, Jude. I really can't talk much about Jude's character because I would spoil The Darkest Minds, but let me tell you, he made my heart hurt by how pure he was. He always had hope and optimism even when they were in the darkest times, and it wasn't like an unrealistic or annoying sense of optimism. He genuinely thought that good would outweigh evil, and that was so important to the other characters who were much more cynical, and they needed him as that source of hope. I love Jude. He's my favorite character out of that series. Question number 12 is the Avatar state, a stubborn character or a character who struggles to let go. For this, I chose Kaz Brekker from the Six of Crows duology. Throughout the course of the books, you learn a lot about Kaz's past and how that has shaped his character now, and his inability to let go of the injustice that was done to him drives almost the entire plot of the story. And it's not like it made the story annoying and that like, oh my god, just let it go. It's like, no, this thing happened to him and he can't just let it go. It has emotionally and physically traumatized him. And also, even beside that point, he's also incredibly stubborn. Okay, that's that. I had a lot of fun with this tag. Like I said, Avatar is one of my favorite things in the entire world, so of course I'm gonna like this tag. I'm not gonna tag anyone. If you wanna do it, then please by all means do it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.